Thanks for stopping in. I'm Ceymone and I create Siege content both on YouTube and Twitch. In this video, I'll be going over almost every change coming in Year 7 Season 3 of Rainbow Six Siege. Operation Brutal Swarm is bringing some global core game changes to the weapons system in Siege, addressing some long-standing frustrations in the community. We'll also be getting our second attacker of Year 7, an aggressive Nighthaven operator from Singapore who will have you buzzing with excitement. As usual, this video will have some visual aids to support what I'm talking about, but it is designed as a listenable experience, so feel free to go about your day while you absorb the knowledge. There will be chapters and timestamps in the description if you're looking for something specific. Let's get on with it. Coming into Season 3, the roadmap was slightly shifted to accommodate for delays, complications, and changing priorities. Season 3 was originally slated to introduce the brand new Singapore map and the reworked Ranked 2.0 system. Both of these features have been delayed to Season 4 to ensure they're ready and meet expectations. To supplement the void this created, the developers decided to add an additional map into all playlists, as well as a new secondary gadget for attackers at the launch of Season 3. Brutal Swarm is introducing a Singaporean attacker called Grim as part of the Nighthaven squad. Since Nighthaven's recent official split from Rainbow Six proper, Grim is the first operator to have never been part of Rainbow Six. With a get-the-job-done attitude and a history in explosive ordnance destruction and stealth reconnaissance, he recognizes the disadvantage of not knowing the position or proximity of a target. This mindset translates seamlessly into Grim's aggressive loadout and role as a roam-clearing, intel-gathering entry operator. Grim's gadget is called the K1 Hive Launcher and can be used to secure positions for a limited time with B-bots. Grim can use his launcher to launch a sticky projectile up to 75 meters away. Approximately 1 second after sticking, a canister springs from the projectile and falls to the ground. Around 1 second after the canister is released, bees will begin to swarm and will do so for about 8 seconds before dying. Any defender standing within the 6-meter diameter swarm will be pinged in real time while the swarm is active. If the defender is detected and then leaves the swarm, they will be periodically pinged 3 times, similar to an attacker who is detected by Alibi's Prisma. The swarm does not seem to go through holes in walls unless those holes are on the ground where the bees would originally release from, and the holes are larger than the gap that you would find under a barricade. The swarm also produces a notable visual distraction on the screen of the swarmed. Grim has 5 rounds in his launcher, which has no reload, but has a moderately slow fire rate. While his gadget doesn't have any direct and clear synergies like Glaz and Sens, Grim serves as a multiplier when used in tandem with similar operators. In the early game, Grim can be utilized with anti-roam operators like Dokkaebi, Jackal, and Lion. This can particularly be useful on large maps like Bank and Emerald Plains if clearing out roamers is important to a safe execute, but very time-consuming due to the map's design. Lion's EE1D gadget can ensure a defender is pinged if Grim knows their general location, since the bees force a defender to move to prevent or limit their detection, while Lion's requires stillness. Whether they move or not, the defender will be red pinged for all attackers to see. In the late game, Grim can be used for redundancy to lock down the site during the execute or in the post plant with operators like Lion, Gridlock, or Nomad. These operators make the retake difficult for the defense as they lose any element of surprise in doing so. Grim's gadget is not without its counters either. For simplicity, I'll be breaking the K1 launcher into 3 distinct pieces. The projectile is the sticky device that comes out of the launcher, the canister is the object that drops from the projectile to release the bees, and the swarm is the bees. The projectile is bulletproof, melee-proof, but not explosive-proof. However, your window to hit the projectile with an explosive is very small, and if you're already far enough away to safely throw an explosive, you'd likely be out of the swarm's radius, so it might not be a wise use of utility. Destroying the surface that the projectile is on can also destroy it. For example, breaking a hatch that the projectile has stuck to will destroy the projectile rather than dropping it. This also applies to ripping down barricades that the projectile has stuck to. Both the projectile and canister are susceptible to electricity, such as from Kaid and Bandit, which brings a new niche benefit to electrified barbed wire. A zombie's Kiba barriers can be used to herd the bees if used in a timely fashion to create a temporary wall before the bees release. The swarm does not go around or through the barrier, so this can be used to spare yourself from the pings or needing to move. The swarm respects whatever boundary existed when they were initially released. They also do not fly under the gaps of barricades. The swarm has no destructible counter, and once the bees are released, there are only a few negation counters, which I'll talk about next. Maestro's Evil Eye laser will not destroy any part of the Ka-1 system. 2 operators have the ability to negate or delay the Ka-1 system. Mute's Jammer provides 2 separate counters to Grim. First, a jammed canister will not release the swarm as long as the jammer remains intact. However, the swarm will release as soon as it's no longer jammed. A detected operator can enter the radius of a jammer to cleanse their swarm as well, which will remove the bees and their pinging. While his ERC-7 gadget is active, Vigil will not be swarmed or pinged. However, his gadget must be active before entering the radius, similar to his counter to Lion's EE1D. It is a preventative counter, but not reactive. The Bulletproof Camera's EMP dart has no effect on the canister and will not delay the swarm being released. The Ka-1 launcher's projectile is susceptible to all anti-throwable operators' gadgets. Jaeger's ADS will destroy the projectile. Wamai's magnet will catch and displace the projectile, but will not prevent the canister from dropping or the swarm from releasing. Aruni's Surya gates will zap and destroy a projectile that passes through it, and the projectile can be used to burn the gate. Overall, the Ka-1 launcher is a useful tool for clearing hard-to-reach nooks and crannies by either flushing out bunkered-down defenders or revealing them to the entire attacking team. It's also useful to lock down entry and exit points for a brief amount of time, certainly long enough for a plant to go down or to set up a strong post-plant positioning. Its 5 projectiles also proves useful for burning Jaeger, Wamai, or Aruni's gadgets, putting a sheer burn potential higher than Zofia, Ashe, and pre-Brutal Swarm Finka. Whether it detects a defender or not, the swarm provides useful intel and effective area denial for a vigilant team. Grim's loadout is built for aggressive area denial. As the first 3-speed attacker since Maverick, Grim can position himself very quickly into power positions and immediately begin seizing control from the defense. For primary options, Grim has access to the 5.52 Commando Assault Rifle, carried by IQ, or the SG CQB shotgun, available to Twitch, Lion, Doc, and Rook. His AR, with 1x sights only, provides a comfortable, precise, and powerful automatic option, while his heavy-hitting shotgun can be leveraged by his speed to quickly close the distance to targets. Grim's only secondary option is the P229 handgun, carried by Hibana and Echo. There's not too much to say about that one, but it is a consistent and reliable option, although it may stray less confident players away from using the shotgun primary. As far as secondary gadget options go, Grim can either supplement his area denial role with claymores, or he can bring breach charges to aid in verticality, entry, and general access. At his core, Grim is designed to be an aggressive area denial, anti-roam, and intel gathering operator. He excels at countering roamers, making entry, and protecting the objective. While he could be well suited as a traditional entry operator, and while I do think he'll often be one of the first attackers inside the building, I don't think Grim will shape out to be an entry in the same way Ashe or Yana is. Rather, I think Grim serves well as a slow burn entry operator, entering quickly but preserving his life to gain maximum trade-off and effectiveness from his utility. Much like Jackal, you want him in first, but you don't want him to die for 1 kill, as that would be a massive waste of his potential. With his claymores or breaches and bees, Grim can quickly take space above sight to create and maintain vertical control and funnel defenders into kill points. While he is equipped and able to accomplish a lot of this alone, I think it will prove most effective for Grim to be an anvil, and for another attacker to be the hammer to act immediately on the information and openings Grim creates. The hammer operator can also protect Grim as he is vulnerable when his launcher is equipped, and he does need to expose himself to line of sight since the projectile is a straight line sticky object rather than bounceable like Chachanka's Shamika launcher. Brutal Swarm will bring balancing changes to 2 underutilized attackers, Fuze and Kali. Fuze's Cluster Charge gadget will take 2 seconds rather than 3 to drill through a reinforced surface, and the pellet trails will have increased visibility. Fuze is also gaining Smoke Grenades as a 3rd secondary gadget option. Kali is receiving 1 more LV Explosive Lance charge for a total of 4. Her CSRX 300 sniper rifle is also receiving some quality of life changes. Both the vertical and horizontal recoil has been reduced, and the camera recovery time after a shot has been increased to create a smoother experience. Several operators are getting loadout updates to bolster or suppress their weaknesses and strengths. The Gaunt 6 hand cannon is being removed from Yana's kit to reduce her destructive capability. It is being added to Buck and Capital's kits to increase their versatility, making them viable alternatives to other utility-clearing operators like Yana and Sledge. To curtail them in a similar way, Finka and Maverick are both losing their frag grenades. Finka will be picking up smoke grenades, and Maverick will be picking up stun grenades. This allows them both to maintain throwable options for burning Wamai's magnets, Jaeger's ADSs, or Aruni's Suri gates, but restricts their ability to clear utility on their own, particularly in Maverick's case. Glaz will be picking up claymores as a third secondary gadget option. As you may have noticed, there is now a third slot for secondary gadgets, whereas previously operators could have a maximum of 2 secondary gadget options. This slot was open to introduce a brand new option for some attackers, the EMP Impact Grenade. Opening the third slot means that no attacker will lose a gadget to gain this one. It simply becomes another option. The EMP Impact Grenade provides an alternative to Thatcher's EMP grenades with a few notable differences. First, the secondary EMP detonates immediately on impact rather than operating on a 3-second timer. Second, the Impact EMP has a much smaller radius than Thatcher's at 1.8 meters rather than Thatcher's 5. This requires more precise information gathering from the attack because it is very possible that an incorrect assumption between a bandit and a Qaid can mean that the correct gadget is not disabled. The Impact EMP also disables gadgetry for 6 seconds less than Thatcher's EMP at 9 seconds versus 15. This means that not only do you need to be more accurate, you also need to be better coordinated to make use of that window of opportunity. Operators who have access to this secondary will load into the game with 2 rather than Thatcher's 3. So far, these operators are Lion, Montaigne, Blackbeard, Gridlock, Osa, Nook, Dokkaebi, Sledge, and Recruit. Thatcher's own EMP has been given an updated visual effect to better show its area of effect and to be consistent with the Impact EMP. As a bigger part of balancing, Brutal Swarm will also be introducing widespread changes to recoil and the attachments available to almost every weapon in the game, but we'll be talking about that more in detail after the intermission. As usual, if you found the information in this video useful, please drop a like. If you enjoy siege or extraction content, consider subscribing to this channel, and if you prefer to watch gameplay live, I have a consistent stream schedule over on twitch.tv/Ceymone. Right now, I stream every Tuesday evening from around 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get back to the information. Over the last few seasons, many of you have probably noticed the oppressive use of LMGs, as well as the growing disparities and inconsistencies amongst weapon recoils. For example, some guns like Zofia's assault rifle were given a high skill ceiling, while guns like Habana's Type 89 were untouched, powerful lasers. Brutal Swarm will undertake a global recoil and attachments rework to make behavior more consistent and to balance weapons at a grand scale. However, not everyone will experience these changes. Starting in Brutal Swarm, the recoil balancing of weapons will be separate for PC and console. Console will be receiving some targeted balancing this season, but only PC will be experiencing the new recoil system. Since the changes coming are targeted, sweet, and short, let's start with the recoil adjustments coming to console only. To improve player comfort, the recoil for the following weapons is being reduced: Ella's Scorpion, Zofia's assault rifle, Ash's R4C, and Alibi's SMG. To increase the skill ceiling on some of the more powerful weapons, recoil is being increased for these weapons: the LMG carried by Finka and Fuze, Zofia's LMG, the G8A1 carried by IQ and Amaru, and Finka and Thunderbird's Spear 308. And that covers the recoil changes coming to console and Brutal Swarm. The recoil changes I'll be covering after this point apply only to PC. On PC, recoil was reviewed individually for each weapon and was adjusted to match expected power level. Some factors that played into the adjustments were rate of fire, damage per second, and which operators use those weapons. Weapons that already have strong recoil patterns, or weapons with low fire rate but weak patterns, will keep similar recoil to their current versions. This includes Ash's R4C, Jaeger's 416C, Castle and Pulse's Frost's SMG, and Kavera's SMG. In general, in the new system, the vertical and horizontal intensity of recoil will increase during sustained fire, particularly for assault rifles and even more so for LMGs. Vertical recoil will increase during sustained fire in increments over 3 distinct stages. For LMGs and other high-capacity weapons, there will be a 4th stage that is extremely difficult to control. Horizontal recoil will increase in a smoother, less severe way. These increases lessen the viability of controlled sustained fire and incentivizes short, controlled, and intentional bursts. This change should help limit the spray-and-pray nature of high-capacity weapons and the luck that can be associated with sustained pre-firing. Players who already have a good habit of decent crosshair placement and burst firing will not feel the effect of this change as much, but some weapons definitely have a level of effort associated with them now, such as Ibanez Type 89. With the global increase to recoil on PC, the developers want a player's chosen loadout to be more impactful and meaningful, so that the players can pick the attachments that bring the most comfort and use to them. To give players this freedom, customization options are being opened broadly on both console and PC. I'm not going to go over every single weapon change in this video, but they will be on the screen for those interested, and I'll be reading the ones I found most notable. Let's start with weapon sights. In Brutal Swarm, some operators' maximum magnification available is being promoted or demoted. In the demotion category, Yana's ARX, Mutant Wamai's MP5K, and Kaid's AUG will all be demoted to having only 1x sights. Sledge's Assault Rifle, Zophia's LMG, Nomad's ARX, and Finka's LMG are all losing their 2.5 times sights, although the latter two will be gaining the 2x in its absence. Finally, to my dismay, Ace will be losing the 2x on his AK-12, however he will be given the 1.5 to ensure he has access to some magnification. Other operators are having their maximum magnification promoted. Notably, Frost's SMG, Pulse's UMP, and Goya's Vector will be receiving the 1.5 sight, and Capital's Para will be picking up the 2x. Meanwhile, some other operators will be receiving some sights within their existing range. Some notable weapons gaining the 1.5 are the Boss G, Finka's Spear, and Zophia's Assault Rifle, which is my personal favorite in the list. The Boss G, Ibanez Type 89, Nomad's AK, and IQ's AUG are some of the weapons gaining a 2x sight in Brutal Swarm. The Flash Hider is a barrel attachment that reduces vertical recoil. For the sake of consistency, the Flash Hider has been removed from the remaining DMRs that had it, particularly since the muzzle brake makes much more sense for that weapon type. Frost SMG has gained the Flash Hider. The muzzle brake is a barrel attachment that greatly reduces the recoil of the first shot by 45% and also reduces the recentering time by 45%. Recentering is the time it takes for the crosshair to return to its original position once firing has stopped. The distribution of the muzzle brake has been normalized across the board, from LMGs like the G8 to SMGs like the FMG9 and to machine pistols like the SMG11. The compensator is a barrel attachment that controls the horizontal recoil of a weapon. Like the muzzle brake, the distribution of the compensator has been normalized. Some of the weapons gaining the compensator include Gridlock's LMG, the FMG9, the P90, and Kali and Clash's machine pistol. The extended barrel is a barrel attachment that reduces the damage drop-off that occurs in long-range engagements. With the recoil changes, the choice of this barrel becomes a meaningful choice between suppressing recoil and negating damage drop-off. The extended barrel is being added to several SMGs, including Kapkan and Azami's SMG, the FMG9, T5, and MP7, as well as some ARs such as the G36C and F2, as well as the SPS MG9 machine pistol carried by Kali and Clash. The suppressor is a barrel attachment that removes the trails caused by missed bullets, which can reveal your location. It also lessens the radius that a bullet being fired can be heard. Currently, these benefits come at the sacrifice of damage. But in the same vein as the extended barrel, the choice of suppressor becomes a choice now of significant recoil suppression or the suppressor's benefits. Because this choice is more meaningful now, the damage penalty associated with suppressors is being removed entirely in Brutal Swarm. Laser is an underbarrel attachment that increases a weapon's hipfire accuracy. The laser's distribution has been completely normalized and has been added to all weapons. The vertical grip is an attachment that reduces the intensity of vertical recoil and has been added to Glaz's sniper rifle, Nomad's ARX, Frost SMG, and Legion and Oryx's T5. The angled grip is an attachment that sacrifices some recoil benefits for quicker ADS or scoping time. Since the vertical grip will be a much more impactful choice in the new recoil system, the angled grip has been added to several weapons. This includes the assault rifles belonging to Sledge, Ash, and Jaeger, as well as the major LMGs in the game, including Finka's, SMGs such as the Vector and T5, machine pistols such as the SMG-11, and DMRs like the 417 are also receiving the angled grip. All in all, these changes coming to recoil and attachment options leads to each choice being more meaningful to the player, usually between recoil suppression or other benefits like stealth or range. This system will also reward practice and skill as you can slowly phase out recoil attachments for other buffs when you master a weapon's recoil. By diminishing luck and oppressive playstyles, and by addressing the LMGs, I believe these changes will refresh the meta in coming seasons. And remember, if you're having trouble in this new era, burst fire is the most efficient and least punishing way to avoid the heavy recoil beyond headshots. A couple pieces of attacker utility are also getting updated in Brutal Swarm. First, Frag Grenades are getting a quality of life nerf. The radius at which minimum damage is taken has been reduced significantly from 5 meters to 3.6 meters. This is the outer radius at which you take any damage by being on the edge of the grenade's radius. The radius at which maximum or lethal damage is taken has been slightly reduced from 2.5 meters to 2 meters. This will require more precise use of grenades for utility destruction mainly, but will also provide some respite from vertical grenades, where exact positioning may be unknown. Hard breach charges are also receiving a change in Brutal Swarm. The activation time has been reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds, meaning the can opener completes its circle just a little bit quicker. It still takes 2 seconds to place the charge down, but this will make it slightly harder for bandit tricking. Brutal Swarm is bringing some updates to map-related features as well. For starters, the Stadium Bravo map from 2021's Road to SI event will be added to all map pools, including ranked. For those who remember, Stadium Bravo is a combination of border and coastline, with a much cleaner training aesthetic and integrated bulletproof glass at various locations around the map. My personal favorite part is Stadium's ultra-safe spawn point, the Gantry spawn, where attackers can rappel down from on high to the roof of the map. While Stadium Bravo may be coming into the folds, one classic map is making its departure from its last sanctuary. The Bartlett University map is being removed as an option in custom playlists. Map ban, unranked and ranked, is also getting a much-needed update to shake up the map variety in games. Instead of being presented with 3 maps, there will be 5 maps in the pool. Each team will still choose to ban one of the 5 maps. The played map will be selected at random from the remaining maps. This will shift map ban to more of a I do not want to play this map, rather than a mind game of if we ban this map, then we get to play that map. This change should also help refresh the variety of maps we see game to game. The tactical map, which is the map you see when selecting your defense site or spawn point in pick phase, is getting some long-awaited quality of life updates. Attackers will be able to see a list of the available defender objective locations. Those that are locked will be marked as such, but even just having a reminder of all the options can be useful. If an attacker spots the objective on their drone in the preparation phase, that objective will be highlighted on that list. This makes it a lot easier to know which site was spotted for those who didn't spot it themselves. Finally, you will be able to select your objective or spawn location by clicking on the location on the map itself, rather than needing to select it from the list. The option to select from the list still remains for those who prefer it. One of my favorite smaller updates coming is that you'll be able to directly enter a shooting range session from an operator's operator page, rather than having to navigate to the shooting range from the learning area and then picking the operator. All weapons now have infinite ammunition in reserve while in the shooting range. Thanks to this, the ammo box has been replaced with a radio that you can cycle through to pick your favorite practice tunes, including Sweet Sweet Silence. The board in the shooting range has also been updated with a cleaner look. Finally, to refresh the playlist and give more Find Your Groove time, there are some changes coming to the Team Deathmatch playlist. The action phase will be increased from 5 minutes to a whopping 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The operator pick phase has been decreased from 30 seconds to 20 seconds, so you get into your match that much quicker. The kill limit has been increased from 75 to 90 to match the larger time allotment. And the reward amounts have also been increased in the playlist to up the incentive to play. A change is coming to the HUD and seed as well. When you're spectating operators, you'll be able to tell which operator you're cycling to next, which makes your decisions quicker and more informed. Vector Glare featured the first phase of the reputation system pertaining to friendly fire. Brutal Swarm will roll out the second phase of this system pertaining to text chat abuse. Players who repeatedly send abusive or hateful messages in the text chats will be automatically muted by the system. Sanctioned players will still be able to send and receive messages, but other players will not see their messages unless they opt to unmute them. There will be a grace period during the season that will issue warnings, but when the penalty releases later in the season, an active penalty for 30 matches will immediately kick in for the meanies. While the reputation system targets undesirable behavior in an automated fashion, we're also getting a match replay update that will help players report this behavior. In Brutal Swarm, you'll be able to report players for griefing or cheating from the match replay scoreboard. This means you'll be able to report players who disconnected from the match session before you could do so, and it also means you'll be able to revisit the behavior of players you weren't quite sure about, which will help reduce strain on the report system, as less just-in-case reports might happen. I also hope that it will help with the closet cheater situation. Some changes are slated to come in Brutal Swarm, but not at launch. These operator updates won't be coming until the mid-season patch. Teased in the test server for Vector Glare, a buff to Rook's armor plates will be coming into the live build after all. Rook's armor will grant the wearer the ability to self-revive out of the down but not out state to 20 HP. The animation is also pretty neat, as shown in the pre-alpha footage, and depicts the operator casually pulling bullets from the vest. A change to Dokkaebi was also hinted at earlier in the year, and we finally got news on what that change will be. When Dokkaebi makes her phone call, spectators on cameras will also be affected, and they cannot interrupt the disruption by turning off their phone. This means Dokkaebi can create a window of opportunity where no defender, alive or dead, can be on cameras unless they're countering with Mute's jammer. This also forces a choice on Dokkaebi. Will she use her 2 calls to roam clear in the early game? Will she risk her life to wait until the end game where more defenders will be on cameras, if those cameras are still up? Or will she divide the effort? These changes are meeting some resistance in the community on the basis that Rook's buff is just another withstand ability, and that Dokkaebi's buff only makes her that much more annoying. I disagree with the withstand comparison since this comes through Rook's Gadget directly, although I do agree that I don't think Rook needed this buff. And with Dokkaebi, I think it's consistent behavior-wise and does force a choice and risk on the player. Operation Brutal Swarm is scheduled for release on Tuesday, September 6th. We have plenty to look forward to from the new aggressive B-releasing attacker Grim, map pool and map ban updates, the Recoil System, and many operator loadout tweaks. I know I'll be spending quite a bit of the beginning of the season re-evaluating my own loadout choices in the shooting range and practicing. As usual, Brutal Swarm will have a battle pass, and premium pass holders will now have the 10% store discount that used to be available to year pass holders in previous years. You can even buy your friend the premium battle pass, so long as you're on the same platform and have been Ubisoft Connect friends for longer than 90 days. If this video helped you prepare for the changes coming in Brutal Swarm, please drop a like, comment down below what you're most looking forward to, and consider subscribing to my channel if you like Siege content. I stream every Tuesday on Twitch as well. Thank you for watching.